Hello, welcome to Career Launcher. Welcome to Career Launcher's YT channel exclusively for CAT preparations for all MBA aspirants. We continue our series on reading comprehension passages. Have chosen a passage on philosophy. Whenever a passage is slightly difficult to read, as this passage is, you will find that the questions are not that difficult. So I have kept the questions slightly easier today, but I want you to get into the habit of reading and understanding more difficult passages. All right. So it's from philosophy. I've chosen it from Aeon Essays. Saves you a lot of trouble instead of going through 10 books. Aeon has ready made essays. You just pick up, edit, or see a part of the article which I think would look interesting and is very close to a cat passage. This is very close to a cat passage. Maybe later in another session, I'll give you a little more difficult questions on this. All right, shall we start? Now, you're watching a recording of this session. Please, when the screen is being showed, pause the video, mute the sound, read the passage on your own, solve it on your own, and then play the video again with sound and uh, see whether you got your questions right, whether you summarized the passage right or not. Start. Causal understanding. So the passage is about causal understanding, which itself is enough to make us run for cover. But since the passage starts, it's going to explain what is causal understanding. Causal understanding is the cognitive ability to think about how things affect and influence each other. One is the cause, one is the effect. So, to see how things influence each other. It enables us to grasp concepts like how the moon causes tides, why tariffs impact trade, or how events in a story connect. Causal understanding forms the basis of thoughts involving why, how, because, and what if. Look at the questions. Why did something happen? How did something happen? Something happened because. What if this hadn't happened? What would have happened? It allows us to imagine, plan, and reflect on alternative possibilities. The what if, right? In daily life, causal understanding permeates our observations with generativity and necessity. So, all our observations we develop causal understanding. If you hear a sound, you assume something make it. If there's a dent on a car, you know something caused it. You anticipate the downpour will make you wet, so you open an umbrella. This capacity to view cause and effect as part of objective reality, the mind independent world, is so fundamental that it's nearly impossible to imagine our experience without it. We have a capacity to view cause and effect as part of objective reality, and we can't imagine any experience without this capacity to view cause and effect. We see actions, not isolated events. Somebody unlocking a door and acorn making a splash. Unlike animals, so this is the difference, and animals don't have it. Human beings possess a unique capacity to conceptualize causation in a hyper-general, objective way. So we can think of causation in a very general, objective way. This cognitive achievement allows us unparalleled control over the world. Because we have this capacity to conceptualize causation in a very general way, it has enabled us to gain control over the world. Our causal understanding is a superpower, and its development is closely tied to our social nature. Human society enables us to acquire this special understanding. So, cause and effect, this causal understanding is because of our social nature. How is that? Human sociality enables us to acquire this special understanding, raising questions about how animals experience the world and how humans might perceive reality if causation was suspended. If causation was suspended, how would people perceive reality? Because that's a integral part of our perception. So how would we do it? A widely adopted framework for studying causal understanding is interventionism. So, how do you understand this causal understanding? How do you even study it? They do it through a method called interventionism. What is interventionism? It defines cause and effect as variables that can change with causality identified through interventions targeted changes. For instance, if the sun's rising affects the rooster's crowing, changing the sun's position would alter the rooster's behavior. But changing the rooster's behavior would not alter the sun's position. Thus, the sun is the cause and crowing is the effect. Interventionism is often called difference making because a cause makes a difference to its effect. Alter the cause and the effect changes. While this approach doesn't fully address philosophical skepticism about causation, it provides a useful framework for understanding cause and causal relation. So, something causes something. You change the nature of the cause, the effect also changes. But if you change the nature of the effect, it will have no effect on the cause, that we know. Given a beautiful example of the rooster and the sun, right? So basically, what he is saying is when you intervene through intervention, you target changes and you can understand cause. You get a better understanding of causation. And he says it doesn't fully address all our question, all our skepticism about causation, but it provides a useful framework for understanding causation. Paragraph. So far, it is quite simple. Causal knowledge also involves distinguishing between statistical learning and interventional learning. There is a difference between statistical learning and interventional learning. What is and causal knowledge helps you distinguish between these two. What is the difference? Statistical learning allows you to identify patterns and make predictions passively. You look at patterns and you say, Acha, this happened, this leads to this. You make predictions passively. But interventional learning enables you to gain causal knowledge. If this causes this, I don't want it to cause this, then you can control your environment through interventionism. It's a proactive method rather than a passive method. Philosopher G.E.M. Anscombe's analysis of intention further distinguishes between actions and unintentional occurrences. Actions are defined by knowledge of our goals, knowing what we are trying to achieve. If you unknowingly ring a bell while leaning on a door, it's not an action. So, unintentional occurrences are not actions. But if you move the door deliberately, then it's an action. Action is intentional, and unintentional occurrences can't be called action. Understanding causation involves an insider perspective. What is an insider perspective? Knowing your goal and making things happen. This action oriented perspective is foundational to developing causal knowledge and understanding. So, it's a basis to understand causal knowledge and understanding. You have to develop an action oriented perspective or an insider perspective. Got it? Question 1. What's the main point of the passage? Causal understanding is a unique human ability to conceptualize cause and effect relationships objectively. Animals also possess causal understanding, but in a limited primitive form. Interventionism offers the only valid framework for understanding causation. Human society undermines the development of causal understanding. We know 4 is wrong. He says causal understanding is because of human sociality. So, this is against what has been stated in the passage. This is an extreme word. It offers a valid framework, but not the only valid framework. Animals also possess, unlike animals, humans have this unique ability. Therefore, the correct answer is A. Hope you got that right. Question 2. What can be inferred about statistical learning from the passage? Whenever you are given a direct question from the passage, it's called a specific detail question. You always have to go back. I mean, unless you remember it, but if you don't, since you'd be reading fast, go back to the relevant part of the passage and see what can you infer about statistical learning. It is different from interventional learning. Second, It allows you to identify patterns and make predictions passively. These are the 2 points about statistical learning. Let's see here. It is an active process. No, author says it's a passive process. It allows animals to control their environment effectively. Did the author say this? It helps in identifying patterns and making predictions. It requires a conscious effort. It's not been mentioned, so that's irrelevant. Therefore, the correct answer is option C. Question 3. According to the passage, how does human understanding of causation differ from that of animals? Humans understand causation only through social interactions. Social interaction is one way, only is what makes this wrong. Humans perceive causation as a part of an objective reality, unlike animals. Correct, exactly what's given in the passage. Let's go back and I will show you. Um, Unlike animals, they humans conceptualize po- causation as an objective reality. Therefore, that's the correct answer. Right? So, B is the correct answer. Animals are better at understanding. This is not given. Animals can perform complex interventions, not been mentioned. Both are out of scope. Therefore, option B is the correct answer. Question 4. According to the passage, what is the defining feature of the interventionist approach? It focuses on statistical prediction of events. Interventionist approach, he hasn't mentioned anything about statistical prediction. Statistical is one, interventionist is the other. If you remember, causal knowledge distinguishes between statistical learning and interventional learning. So, interventional learning is different from a statistical prediction. So, one is wrong. It defines causation by identifying variables that can change. Okay, it emphasizes the role of social learning. No, it relies exclusively on passive. No, this is about statistical patterns. Now, if you go back to looking at interventionism, the definition, you will get the answer. He says that interventional learning enables you causal knowledge and enables you to control your environment. In interventionism, you can alter the cause, you can make a difference in the cause and effect relationship. Therefore, the correct answer for 4 is it defines causation by identifying variables that can change. Therefore, B is the correct answer. All right. I hope you got your questions right. If you have any doubts or questions, please put it in the chat box. Please subscribe to our YT channel for regular updates on sessions which will be useful for your MBA preparation. I will see you again next time in a live or a recorded session. Until then, bye bye.